Some of you may already know this and some of you won't, but if you go to Facebook, Facebook has all of these groups. And one of those groups is an Aquarius group. Well, not one, several. They have several groups. Might be like 15 of them by now. But they have different groups for different zodiac signs. And the one that is for Aquarius, I'm in like 2 of them. And they talk about a lot of Aquarius stuff. So today's topic came from the group. And I wanted to bring it to you guys and see what you think about this. Because I agree with this. And I want to see what you guys think too. So let's do the introduction. And then we're going to talk about today's topic. I am Queen Aset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to somebody else who might like it too, and please leave us a positive comment in the comment section. And stick around to the end of the video, because towards the end of the video, I'm going to talk about some other positive comments and maybe talk a little bit more smack too. Okay, so stick around. There's always some jewels at the end of the video too. So if you want to get a reading done, email me. If you want to know anything else about me, look underneath this video because I dropped my social media. I dropped my Patreon account. What else is underneath there? My Amazon wish list, because gifts are my love language, and my PayPal is underneath there too in case you want to send me a love donation. So without further ado, let's talk about the Aquarius. So I was talking to them and somebody posted this question, and it says, how many Aquarius hate is a strong word, hate when people randomly pop up at your home? And every Aquarius that was in the room was like, yo, I cannot stand that. Now, I do think hate is a strong word. Some of us hate it and some of us just dislike it. But that is something that I wanted to tell you guys, and I want to see what you guys think. So how many of you who are Aquarius dislike somebody randomly popping up at your home? Even somebody you like. It could be your mama, could be your best friend. How many of you are like that? Because I've been seeing memes about this and people joking about this for years. If you come, well, at this point, you really can't come see me without me knowing, because security is going to call me to ask if you have permission. But when I was younger and I lived in a house on a residential neighborhood, people sometimes, they'll see your car and be like, oh, she home. And then they'll want to come knock on the door. And I'm sorry, like, you knew, you knew 3-4 blocks ago that you wanted to pop by. You could have shot me a text then and said, are you busy? So a lot of Aquarius in the group were like me, and they said they don't answer the door. And neither did I. I was exactly the same way. If you came to my door unannounced, unless I was about to walk out the door or the door was open or something like that, if I am in my bedroom and I look out the blinds and I see somebody's car, even somebody I like, and I'm not in the mood for company, chances are not how I'm going to open the door. And the good thing about my friends is they know that. They've known me for so long. Most of my friends have been friends for a long time. So they already know, we got to text her before we go around there because she's not going to open the door. Exactly. You need, to me, I feel like, and I again, you can tell me if you feel the same way. I feel like that's common courtesy. You see, I could see back in the day when we didn't have cell phones, when we didn't have, you know, those forms of communication, you know, back in the day, you know, when you had to walk from one village to the next, something like that. I can see that. Or before the cell phone, you know, when you had no way of, you know, contacting the person. And let's say you are in the neighborhood and you see their car and you want to stop by and you can't text and say, hey, are you in the mood for company? I could see that back in the day because you didn't have that mode of communication. communication. But nowadays, in present day, and I would say for like the past 10 years, since I was in college at least, and that was like 20 years ago. So for the past 20 years, we've had some type of communication where you can text or call the person and say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Are you in the mood for hanging out, or are you in the mood for going out, or whatever the case is? So everybody already knew that about me. So I want to know, is that true about you? As an Aquarius, is there something that really bothers you? And some people who aren't Aquarius tell me that that really bothers them. I personally think that it's courtesy. It's common courtesy. But what I found to be funny was, a lot of people who are not Aquarius and they don't like that would still open the door. Aquarius, we were 100% like, I'm not opening the door. You know, some of the other people was like, well, I don't want to be rude. And if it's my mom, you know, they were giving these little excuses, and they didn't want to be rude, and they want to be considerate. And what if they came from far away? And that, what if they hungry? You know, they had all these considerations that they were saying. And the Aquarius were like, they needed to call first. You knew you was at the mall. You knew you had to go to the bathroom when you left the mall. You could have called me from the mall steps. Like, stop playing with me. Because a lot of times people that do that, because most of my, like I said, my friends already knew how I was, but people that do that usually are people who don't mind infringing upon your time. I could be having sex. I could be cooking naked, baking in the kitchen. You don't know what I'm doing. And here you are popping up at random, taking no consideration for my privacy or my time. So for me, I would get kind of offended, like, really? And I also would not do that to another person. I would not come to your house uninvited, unannounced, you know? So that is something that we talked about. And we were just like, I'm not answering the door. I could be laying in the bed watching TV and they banging, and I will not open the door. And not feel bad about it. And when they ask me, like, why you didn't open the door? I'm like, you didn't tell me you was coming. You never announced yourself, so I wasn't in the mood for company, you know. But I had this one friend, my best friend actually, she would always get me because she's a Taurus. And Taurus, I told you guys, are stubborn sometimes for no reason. Aquarius is stubborn too, but Taurus will be stubborn for no damn reason. And she would not give up. She would keep banging, and then she would start calling, banging and calling, and open the door, I know you in there. And I would end up opening the door for her. But if it was anybody else, I wouldn't open the door. My mother got mad at me about that one time because she came around. My mother lived around the corner. Like, you ain't come far and you drove. Come on now. And she came around the corner, and I'm like, she was like, I don't have my key, and was banging on the door. I was laying there like, and you know, I didn't know that it was her. And when I heard the accent, my mom got a strong accent. When I heard the accent, I was like, let me answer the door, you know. But my thing is that 9 times out of 10, I wasn't opening it. I was not going to open it. And people have said that. They've like complained to me about that. I remember this guy, I was ducking him though, to be honest with you. I was ducking bull because this was like about maybe, this is a while ago. This is like maybe 15 years ago. And he was trying to pull through. He and I were not together, but we used to mess around. And I ain't want to mess around no more. You know, I gotten to that point and I was just like, I'm good now. And he really wasn't taking for an answer. And I wasn't being direct, not as direct as I am now. I was not being nowhere near direct. I was trying to just throw him the hint, like, okay, it's over now, bye-bye, you know. And he wasn't catching the hint. So I just started not answering the door because he would do the same thing. He would just pop up, not call, and I just stopped answering the door. And he would knock and knock and knock. And it was 6 months, y'all. Peep this. He's a Capricorn. It was 6 months that he was doing this, and I was ignoring him, you know, not answering the door, looking out the blinds. 6 months. Who does this for 6 months, okay? And finally, he saw one of my friends, and my best friend, and he was like, yeah, I've been trying to get her, but she's been so busy. And my friend was like, look, he's not catching the hint. He thinks that you're just busy. So if you want him to kiss the curb, you're going to have to woman up and tell him to kiss the curb. And I did. I did. And he didn't, he didn't wild out. He tried to act like he didn't know what I was talking about. He was like, well, what do you mean? I don't understand. Why not? The reasons that I was giving him. He was like, I don't understand. Why not? And I just kind of was like, all right, well, you take care. Like, bye-bye, But I did finally tell him. And it was not easy because at that point in my life, I really did not like to go through what I would call romantic hassles. And having to tell you to dip, for me, was a romantic hassle. Because, you should get the point. Come on, it's 6 months. Move on, But, yeah, I needed to be more vocal and be more upfront. And I did, and he went about his business. So, so in those particular situations, I would be right there in my room, like, I would be looking down at him like, like not opening the door, okay? But it was much better to just get it out. And then he went about his business. He still had a little attitude, and when he saw my friend, he would say little smart stuff, like, oh, she ain't talking to me no more, that kind of thing. But I ain't care. It was like, long as you ain't knocking on my door no more. So don't knock on anybody's door, Aquarius or not, unless you have announced yourself or been invited, or they have specifically told you that you can pop by whenever you want. Some people are that social and that open that they don't care. My grandmother was like that. My grandmother did not lock her door until she was ready to go to bed. So that if any of her children or grandchildren needed to come to her, they could come to her. She was a Capricorn too. And her door was never locked until she went to bed. That was her rule. And she lived in North Philadelphia. And for those of you who don't know about North Philadelphia is like one of the, right now it's probably, and even back then, it was one of the rougher, like inner city, urban kind of areas. But it was kind of rough. So it was the kind of area where you normally would not leave your door wide open. You normally would lock your door. But this was a very tight-knit community. Everybody in that area had grown up together and knew each other. And my grandmother knew everybody. So she didn't lock her door. And she always said, whenever you need me, my door is open. I miss her so much. She died when I was 7 years old, but she was the most loving person I have ever met. I have never, and maybe because I was 7 when she died, maybe my perception wouldn't be the same as an adult. But to that 7-year-old girl, she was the most loving being in the world. I still miss my baby. All right, now let's move into our positive comments. Number 1 came from Elizabeth Rigby Jones. Hi, Elizabeth. My grandmother's middle name and my mother's middle name is Elizabeth. And my mother was trying to get my cousin to name her baby Elizabeth, but she wouldn't do it. Elizabeth said, Aquarius moon, Leo rising, Gemini. I am very loyal and have never and would ever cheat. I do like intelligence in a person. Is that an Aquarian trait? Definitely so. Aquarians have the tendency to fall in love with somebody's intellect. I can get lost. If somebody is talking and they know what they're talking about and like it's interesting to me, I'll be like mesmerized listening to them. So, yeah, we do like intelligence, definitely. And Aquarius, actually, intelligence is one of the more important traits. Like some people will put looks above intelligence, not the Aquarius. Most Aquarius will put intelligence above looks because as long as you look good enough, we're good. But you got to be able to keep up with a conversation with those of us who are smart and like to talk. You got to be able to keep up. You don't have to be classically educated, but you do need to be able to hold a conversation. I know people in the hood, that have little to no education and can hold a good conversation. So if you can do that and you can keep the mind stimulated, you got the Aquarius's attention. Teresa Scott. Oh, she has a question. She said, hey, Queen, question. First of all, I'm a February Aquarius. This looks like February the 16th, 1975. I'm a lover. I love love, or the idea of love, looking from the outside. Me too. Oh my God, that's me. I love it. I love the songs and the poetry. Oh my God, I love that so much. Yes, I love the romance of it all. Oh, I just love that aspect of love. It can get a little messy for me though. My question is, how can I get all the benefits of love without having to risk heartbreak? Hashtag it sounds good. Hashtag no more broken hearts. I got to be honest with you. You pipe dreaming. That is a pipe dream. It's almost impossible. I'm going to say virtually impossible to get love without risking heartbreak. Because like, you can get romance, you can have sex, you can get passion, you can get fun, but if you're talking about like true love, you know what I mean? You have to get vulnerable. You gotta get vulnerable to experience, to give and receive true love. You have to be willing to open and let them in, and you have to be willing to go in. And that's why I stay on the outskirts with the romance part. You know, if I can stay on the outskirts, that's the easy part. But when you go in, that's when you've made yourself vulnerable to heartache. Because now you have to let this person inside. They have to let you inside. Oh my God. And that's where all the potential for heartache happens at. It's also where the potential for true love happens at. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get true love without getting vulnerable, but you can get the romance part. You know, you can do little romantic things with your lover. You guys can listen to romantic songs together, do meditations together. But the problem is that you're detached. You're doing all this romantic stuff together, listening to music, going to concerts, you know, being romantic, feeding each other strawberries. You're doing all this romantic stuff, but you're still being detached from each other. Aquarius are capable of that, but that's not going to find you true love. True love and that detached, non-committal dance that we do are two different things. They're totally different. If you really want to fall in love with somebody and have them fall in love with you and be very reciprocal with it, it's a partnership. So you're coming to each other and you're saying, I'm letting you in. You are my partner. We're going to do this together. Think about a business partner. You both come up with equal amounts of money. You both put in equal amounts of time. You both have an equal amount of commitment, or the business doesn't work. It's the same thing with true love. And if you're not coming with that, then the most you're going to be able to get is romance. That's why I'm cool with romance. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with little poems and, you know, sending each other cute little notes. And I'm cool with that. Little gifts and things, little dates. I'm cool with that. But when it's time to really fall in love, you got to be willing to get real vulnerable. You know, so that's the answer that I have. Maybe people can tell you their answers in the comment section. All right, guys, it's time for us to get going. So please come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.